Hey, SEGways! Whether you're in the debunking community or the ghost hunting community, chances are you've heard all about the controversy between Josh and a debunker that we all now know was Wacka Wacky Paranormal, who contacted an Airbnb owner of a property that Josh and Colin stayed in when they filmed their video for the Hat Man. I'm not going to get into all of this because it will take ages to explain, and the whole story is there. Just go watch Josh's video that he uploaded very recently, and then go check out Wacka Wacky Paranormal's video and make your own mind up. Of course, I have my own opinions. In Josh's video, Kalani offers his opinion, so I will mostly be responding to his arguments here today, but I kind of feel like I've got to talk about Josh a little bit first. I've had an ongoing joke in my channel that Josh is my favourite ghost hunter. During this whole saga, Josh and I have been emailing back and forth. I'm sure Josh wouldn't mind me sharing this detail, but of course, the conversations themselves stay private. During these chats, I explained to him that I don't think he handled this whole thing so great. However, and I think the debunking community really does need to hear this, Josh was very upset about all of this. This really did upset him. When I'm upset, I make mistakes. I can say things and do things that I wouldn't normally do. This is my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. Josh is a nice guy, and I don't actually think he's a faker. Now, I think he's wrong about some of his claims, and he may not explore a more rational explanation for some of them, but I don't think he's out to lie to his audience and fake his paranormal encounters. Of course, this is all just my opinion, and I'm not just saying this because, maybe he's still my favourite. Josh has upset some people during this whole fiasco, and I know he has messaged them privately to apologize for any of his wrongdoings. So I think this is commendable. I think credit where credit is due, because I know other ghost hunters would not do the same thing, and they have not done the same thing, where an apology very much is warranted. Now, on to Kalani. With all the shit that's being flung around all over the place between debunkers and ghost hunters, I'm going to do my absolute best to not fling even more shit. I can't promise anything, but I'm going to try and be as adult about all of this as I can. I've got to be honest, I've actually not watched a Kalani video. I know he's big on TikTok and he's got a good sized YouTube channel, and that he has also collaborated with Josh.
So my biggest complaint right now with paranormal / the debunk community is that there's so much hypocrisy within it.
Who has actually debunked Kalani? I haven't. I know Beardo hasn't. Mr. Grey hasn't. Purple hasn't. Crow hasn't. I think Wacka Wacky might have done at some point when he collaborated with Josh. I mean, I'm sure other debunkers probably have made videos about Kalani, but I just don't know any of them.
Right, you've got the debunk community whose entire catalog of content is from content creators that are out here, and maybe some of them do things that I wouldn't do or unethical.
Off the bat, I do appreciate Kalani acknowledging that some ghost hunting channels do unethical things. I do think he could probably go a step further and name some of these channels who are guilty of this. So I'm not being a hypocrite. I'll do the same thing with a debunker who I think is a complete jerk. Angry Cajun. I've watched a few of his videos and I don't like the way he does things. I know I'm not alone with this. So Kalani, are you willing to name some ghost hunting channels that you think are unethical?
But I'm not there with those people. I don't know for sure what they're doing. And I know that I'm not trying to deliberately fraud people. Like, I'm not making things go off. I'm not trying to make things happen when they're not happening.
Kalani, I don't want to be that guy, but how do we know, mate? I'm not suggesting you are faking. I know it sounds like that, but I'm actually not. But you gotta understand that if your content is like Sam and Colby, where you get crazy activity in every video, and then when other paranormal investigators go to these same locations you are at, and they get next to nothing, it looks suspicious. And this happens a lot. Most of the claims channels like yours are making is very extreme. I hope you all understand that. Extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence.
So when you have people that sit here and call you fake and this, that, and the other, my question is, who's real? Like, the entire paranormal is based off of theoretical approach, and we're not even technically at theory with a lot of it. It's just opinion.
You've answered your own question. It's opinions. We skeptics have our opinions, and you full-blown believers have your opinions.
So how can you determine, right, who's real, who's fake, based off of sitting on the other end of a phone screen?
Common sense, intuition, a little research, a sharp eye, there are ways to accurately debunk fake claims, or at very least cast serious doubt that it is credible.
Like if you were in the same room with someone and you saw something take place, you would then have the opportunity to sit there and be like, okay, this is what happened and this is what I don't agree with.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I follow your argument. Are you saying the only way to accurately debunk any of you ghost hunters is if a debunker goes on an investigation with you? I mean, I'm sure that helps, but it's hardly practical, is it?
And sometimes with videos, you might catch that. You might catch that golden debunk or that golden catch. But a lot of times it's just people talking out of their ass. I mean, for lack of a better term.
Funny how we're only talking about us when we disagree or ask questions about the legitimacy of your claims. All said and done, you're on YouTube, mate. Don't get on YouTube if you don't like criticism, especially with content as controversial as claiming you have evidence of ghosts. I sometimes feel with the sheer number of ghost hunting videos on YouTube that we all get a bit desensitized to the actual claims, the huge claims you guys are making.
Right? They think they know something, or they think they can see something happening a certain way, but they don't know. It's not 100% certainty. It's all opinion based.
You're not wrong, mate. I don't think debunkers, for the most part, claim it's fake unless they can actually prove it's fake. 9 times out of 10, we state it's our opinion. And if that's not explicitly said, then usually it's very much implied. I obviously can't speak for all the other debunkers, but at least that's how I try and make my videos.
So, regardless of what equipment you believe in, what equipment you don't, a lot of people don't like the phone apps.
Yeah, I don't like phone apps.
But my biggest rebuttal is if we took that phone app and we offloaded it into another device and called it something else, people would buy it, and a lot of the debunk community wouldn't have an issue with it. But because it's on a phone, they have an issue with it.
Again, I can't speak for the whole debunking community, but I would very much have an issue with any technology with a word bank that you can manipulate by shaking it, and even have words and phrases manually typed in to speak back to you. I've shown this being done with the Necrometer app, and it doesn't matter what device this is coming out of, I still think it's bullshit.
And another thing is, right, they pick and choose what equipment's good, what equipment's bad, but a lot of these people don't even investigate.
Beardo, Purple, and Mr. Grey all actively go on investigations. The Shape has been on investigations. PSI, Joe Vitale, and many others are actual paranormal investigators, and they also debunk, because those guys are really sick of the shenanigans from many ghost hunting channels. But I'll be upfront, I haven't yet popped my paranormal investigation cherry. But I guess this is as good a time as any to mention I'm planning on visiting the Conjuring House and hopefully the Bel Air House on a holiday I've got planned to America in March next year. I'm also in talks on doing an investigation in Australia as well. For those of you who don't know, this is an English accent, but I live in Australia. But I suppose until I actually go on these investigations, I'll take your criticism on the chin. However, it won't stop me from making videos.
And in all honesty, a lot of the equipment out there is not very technologically sound or technologically advanced. I wouldn't go out to say that everyone that uses a REM pod is deliberately trying to fake it with a walkie-talkie. Do people do that out there? I'm sure they do. Am I doing it? No, I'm not. But at the end of the day, it's really crazy that people can sit here behind a screen and without a doubt say this is what's happening and then portray that to an audience of people that are watching those folks. And it's just so hypocritical. At the end of the day, right, you either believe or you don't. And when you're watching, you're going to be biased one way or the other. You're going to be watching because you believe. You're going to be watching because you don't want to believe.
Another option is that you believe or you want to believe, but you just don't want to be lied to. Just throwing that out there. When I was younger, I had a paranormal experience. I want to see evidence.
Or you don't think it's real. So if I could say anything, it's we need to just try and be as fair and as unbiased as possible. Right? I'm sure that people could probably do a better job at debunking.
Couldn't ghost hunters do a better job ghost hunting? I mean, sure, debunkers could do better. I'm sure we can all do better. But how about you guys? You keep mentioning how the REM pod can be compromised with a walkie-talkie, but what about the apps? I've debunked Necrometer. Joe Vitale debunked Spirit Talker. The cat balls will go off anywhere, whether you're in a haunted location or not. Couldn't you guys do some research and realize what equipment is valid and what is clearly nonsense?
But for the debunk community, right, these people don't go out anywhere and they're not doing anything. There may be a few that go out and investigate.
Pretty much all of them, apart from me, for now.
But I would like to see some of these people go out and be in those experiences and be in those moments and not make mistakes with debunks or calling things out, because sometimes it's hard.
Mistakes are fine, mate. I've made mistakes in my channel. I've addressed them. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody is debunking a mistake as long as you put your hand up and say, yep, that was a mistake. Only assholes would still attack you after you put your hand up and admit you made a mistake and apologize for it.
Like sometimes they're like, well, you're making walkie-talkies make stuff go off. But what happens when that's not the case? And they're in that moment and they see that no one's making walkie-talkies go off and something is trying to communicate with a little can on the floor. Or when there's no draft, there's no wind moving, and all of a sudden a door opens or a door closes, right? It's easy to sit on the other end of a phone screen and be like, oh, they got somebody planted back there, this, that, or the other. But until you're in that moment, until you experience that moment, it's never going to be real.
This is my take on this. I understand how this would be frustrating if you're not faking, or you believe the activity is not caused by a draft or the environment or whatever. But what is more likely? Fakery, a rational explanation, or ghosts? I would love it to be ghosts, but you have to rule out all other possibilities before you arrive at ghosts. And so many channels jump straight to ghosts because that's where the views are, that's where the money is, that's where the excitement and the thrill is at. I get the attraction to all of it, but you're just not doing your job properly.
So I'm not asking those people to stop what they do. I mean, they make money off of debunking content just like I make money off of creating content.
I don't know about the other debunkers because this is the kind of thing we don't really talk about, but I highly doubt we make as much money as you guys. So the whole argument that debunkers make money off this, like ghost hunters make money off this, is a little bit disingenuous. I have my members and patrons, and I am so grateful for all of them. It blows my mind that I have as many as I do supporting me. But the views and ad revenue is no way near the same for us as it is for most of you fellas. I'm not going to lie and bullshit anyone here by saying the money isn't an incentive, because of course it is. When I read the comments after I make a video and people are saying that I make them laugh and I make their day, that's why I really do this.
But at the end of the day, I think we need to be a little bit more cognizant that, you know, all of us are on this same field, and some of us have the role of debunker and some of us have the role of investigator. But at the end of the day, you know, a lot of these people are doing some really shady stuff with the Airbnb stuff. And like when they went after Josh for going to the Derby house, you know, it's like it's getting really petty. It's not debunking anymore. It's like trying to one up what you did the week before in terms of how bad you can make somebody look. And I think that's when you get in an area that's really sticky, right? You're not really going after someone's content anymore. You're going after these people.
I think this is a very important point that I need to clear up. I see the Airbnb thing totally within the line of context of debunking. Now, if the debunker got the actual debunk wrong, that's another matter. But the action of contacting an owner, at least in my opinion, is totally fair. But after the Mindseed saga, of course I'm going to say that. But again, to flip this back onto the ghost hunting community, when Twin Paranormal gave me and The Shape an illegitimate copyright strike, the two people that Kalani and Josh both say are the better debunkers, I'm not gloating about this is just for the sake of context.
I just told you who I thought I was, a god!
I heard nothing from your end. Nobody stepped up and said this was wrong. Now, I was an even smaller channel when this all kicked off a few months back, but The Shape wasn't. It was clear as day Twin Paranormal abused YouTube's poor copyright striking system to try and silence me and The Shape when Laney and Ben put a bullshit defamation strike on Beardo and Purple. Silence from your whole community. I do not know of one time a debunker put a strike on anyone for any reason. So what's worse? Emailing an Airbnb owner or getting a fucking strike on your channel?
And I think that's what we need to get away from. Like, I watch debunk channels. Some of them are entertaining. Like, me and Josh love watching The Shape and Side Eye Guy.
Thank you. Appreciated.
Like, we watch those channels because they're entertaining, right? But I think some people are starting to take it way too far, and that's what I don't want to happen.
I'm interested in what way too far means to you. The reason Airbnb owners are contacted is because ghost hunters have been known for destroying property. I'm currently working on a debunk video that proves a huge ghost hunting channel has destroyed someone else's property while at their house. So what's really way too far here? Contacting an Airbnb owner, like what I or Wacka Wacky Paranormal did? Or lying about a property, destroying the property, or filming for commercial purposes without the property owner's knowledge or consent, which is directly against Airbnb's terms and conditions. I think some of you guys really need some perspective on this. From what I can see, the big problem with the ghost hunting community is you guys are in a bubble. You're in an echo chamber. We debunkers can't be like this because we have to go over to your side of things for the debunks. But you guys stay within your bubble so much that you don't think outside of it anywhere near enough. At least that's my opinion.
I'm coming from a live streaming standpoint. Like, I only recently started YouTube. So for me, if you guys don't know, sometimes, I'll go usually once a month and I'll set up 8 surveillance cameras and they'll run for an entire week straight. And sometimes we don't have much happen. But I do that because I'm trying to show people that it can be very dull at times. But the times that it gets exciting, we don't need to take that away from people because it got exciting. So
maybe you don't fake it. Perhaps I'll do a video on you sometime in the future and I'll judge for myself.
All I'm trying to say is I think we all can do a little bit better job of being respectful of one another and stop getting really dirty and slimy about it.
I hope things stop getting slimy on your end too, mate.
And that's all I ask, right? If you think I'm fake, that's absolutely fine. But if you don't go out and do this yourself and your counter argument is these people are real, but are you there with them creating the content that you claim is real? If you're not there with them, real or fake, how can you determine one way or the other what they're actually creating? Thanks for listening.
Kalani, you seem nice enough. I think you probably should look within your own community before you start casting stones on others. But by no means is the debunking community perfect. Sure, we could all improve. I've been making videos for about 7 or 8 months. I'm still figuring shit out. I've made mistakes, and I'm sure I'll make more. All I can do is try my absolute best to learn from these mistakes. I think we can all learn from our own mistakes. Please like and subscribe, leave a comment and let me know if there are any other ghost hunting videos you'd like me to review. Cheerio!